In the royal chambers of Pilis Castle, screams echo down the corridors. Guards rush inside, only to discover a scene so horrific it will never be forgotten. Gertrude of Merania, Queen of Hungary, lies butchered. Her body hacked apart by swords and daggers, her limbs scattered across the floor. Hours earlier she was one of the most powerful women in Central Europe. Now she is a corpse. Her killers are not faceless invaders. They are Hungarian nobles, men who swore loyalty to the crown. And their message is clear: foreign influence in Hungary must end. But how did a German noblewoman become the most hated figure in Hungary? And why did her death spark one of the most brutal waves of vengeance in medieval Europe? To understand, we must return to the beginning. Gertrude was born around 1185 into the House of Merania, a dynasty ruling lands in modern Bavaria and Slovenia. Her father, Duke Berthold IV, raised her in a sophisticated German court where politics was as much a weapon as the sword. Chroniclers describe her beauty in glowing terms: golden hair, pale skin, striking eyes, but they also noted her sharp mind and ambition. She was not content to play the passive role of queen. In 1203, at just 18 years old, Gertrude married Andrew II of Hungary. It was no love story. This was politics. Hungary gained allies among the German duchies, while Gertrude's family saw a chance to expand its influence eastward. Her arrival was celebrated with pomp and feasts in Székesfehérvár. She was young, dazzling, and promised stability. But appearances deceived. Gertrude would not simply adapt to Hungarian traditions, she intended to bend them to her will. Almost immediately, resentment grew. Gertrude filled high offices with her German relatives, displacing Hungarian nobles who had served the kingdom for generations. Foreigners who barely spoke the language now governed key posts. Even more alarming, she influenced Andrew II himself. The king, besotted with his wife, allowed her to dominate royal councils. She meddled in military appointments, trade privileges, and even border disputes, always favoring her German kin. The Hungarian elite seethed. Their resentment deepened when Gertrude persuaded Andrew to join the Fifth Crusade. With Andrew abroad, she effectively became regent. This was her fatal mistake. As regent, Gertrude ruled with open favoritism. Taxes on Hungarian nobles increased, while her German followers were rewarded with lands and privileges. One of her brothers was even made commander of the royal army. For the Hungarian aristocracy, this was no longer about rivalry, it was survival. The kingdom itself seemed threatened by foreign domination. Among the discontented nobles, one figure emerged: Bank Barcalen, known as Bankban, a respected magnate and war hero. His grievances were both political and personal. Some accounts suggest Gertrude's relatives dishonored his family. Bank and his allies began plotting. They decided exile or deposition was not enough. To erase German dominance, the queen had to die. The assassins chose September 28, 1213. Accounts differ. Some say she was ambushed during a royal hunt in the Pilis Mountains. Others claim she was attacked inside Pilis Castle itself. But all agree on the brutality that followed. Gertrude was caught off guard. Swords slashed her, daggers pierced her, and finally her body was hacked apart. Some chroniclers describe a symbolic ritual: her hands, feet, and head severed to represent her betrayal of Hungary. Even in an age accustomed to violence, the horror stunned Europe. Andrew II returned from his campaign in 1214 to find his wife dead. His grief quickly transformed into fury. He swore vengeance that would terrify friend and foe alike. A relentless investigation followed. Suspects were tortured, families threatened, rewards offered for information. One by one, the conspirators were hunted down. The fate of Bank Barcalen became legendary. Some sources claim he was captured, dragged to Buda, and condemned to death by impalement, a punishment so cruel it was designed to last for hours, even days. Others argue this detail was a later embellishment, part of Hungarian legend rather than fact. What is certain is that Andrew exacted brutal retribution. Dozens of nobles were executed, families stripped of land, names erased from the record. His wrath cowed the nobility, but it also left him feared rather than loved. Gertrude's assassination and Andrew's vengeance did not heal Hungary. The kingdom remained unstable, its nobles resentful, its monarchy weakened. Less than a decade later, Andrew was forced to issue the Golden Bull of 1222, Hungary's equivalent of Magna Carta, guaranteeing noble rights and limiting royal power. As for Gertrude, her death entered both history and myth. For Hungarians, she became the embodiment of foreign domination. For later generations, the story of her murder inspired plays, operas, and national epics. 800 years later, her bloody end still fascinates, part cautionary tale, part symbol of the clash between identity, ambition, and power. The murder of Queen Gertrude was not just a crime of passion or politics, it was a turning point in Hungarian history. A queen's ambition and a kingdom's resentment collided in the most violent way imaginable. And in the end, there were no victors, only a legacy of blood and fear that shaped medieval Europe for centuries to come. Thanks for watching. See you in next video.